Chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vogt.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 283. 283, who would have thunk? Not me, as Paul Rudd once said. Well, without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way in Woods and Shore Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Paul Vogt, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, got to give a big Shield shout out early on here with the program. Big Shield shout out to all the fellas last night with the Smiles for Jake softball team. Loving over the fact to get a little bit of show merch out to the fellas there, but also getting ourselves a nice big win after dropping a tough first game. Second game, we put some belts to some asses one way or another, winning 41-1. That was we took our frustrations out after a tough loss in the first game, but we handled business in game two. So
that is the main thing. You handled business. You got it done. That is fantastic. So congrats to the squad. That's a hell of a win, to say the least. Speaking of hell of a win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are up 1-0 on those San Antonio Spurs. LA Knight, help me out. Yeah. So let's get it going. We got that. The Wolves play tonight right after this show. So we are looking forward to seeing what happens tonight. And, hey, if the Wolves can beat the Spurs twice, that'd be great. In San Antonio,
watch out.
We're looking pretty good. But, it again, they're going to come out strong. It was a great game one. But a team that has struggled against a really good team. Our Minnesota Wild, unfortunately, are down 2-0, unfortunately. Yes, I know, it's a bummer. We're going to talk about it more when we get into Tater Tot Hot Take. But I do want to send out some claps because, remember, last week, it was the day before the historic Game 6s that the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Wild have. Claps out to them.
Huge.
The Wild
get
the monkey off their back. Finally winning, getting past in the first round. We have been begging and pleading for them to do so, and they did. They got it done. And, man, it's, gosh, I don't know. It just got cold in here for some reason. The Iceman, Matt Boldy, got it done. He was the goal that pretty much ended the Dallas Stars season, so we are thrilled about that. The Wolves, down Ant, down Io DeSumo, down Dante DiVincenzo, and they go to the Nuggets and they say, nah, you done. Bye-bye. The Wolves get it done in Game 6 as well, so claps out to them. Just wanted to get that done before we get into with the Spurs and the Avalanche and whatnot, but shouts out to our Minnesota teams getting it done in round 1. Hell yeah. So with that being said, too, Infinity Rankings is going to be a lot what I just said. We're going to talk about the best moments from those games, those series, better word for it, and I ranked them all, and the things in there you want. It's really not a big deal. I just felt like those were kind of my top 6 that I felt, this is what it's all about. Key guys came together in key moments, and they got it done. So we will discuss that for Infinity Rankings tonight. We have a stacked ARA, again, as always. And the Tigers, Schoolbowl undergoes elbow surgery. Will the Tigers be able to keep it going in the AL Central? I don't know. It's getting a little
But a
iffy.
rough few days for the Tigers.
It has been. It really has been. Anthony Richardson, interesting development in Indianapolis. He's going to report to Colts workouts. Apparently, after all this trade talk, is anything going to happen? We don't know. We'll discuss.
We don't know.
Page Buckets and Asia Wilson tabbed as the franchise launchers. Do you guys agree with that? We will discuss. And then, after that, if it shows up for me, Bryson DeChambeau, as I like to call him here on MinneZona Sports Live. Is he going to go to YouTube full time? Well, that's an interesting one. DeChambeau. Yeah. How about that? And then to round things off, coaches propose college football schedule changes. So they're going to be making some changes. Hopefully it's good. We will discuss that as well. And then, of course, you know the deal. Shield shout-outs tonight. Foley's got some Shield shout-outs to get to tonight. So enough wasting time. Enough of the other stuff going on. Let's get it going with some tater tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
It's hot, it's fresh, it's right out of the oven. We start with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Oh, did you guys not know something that happened? Oh yeah, it's in the lower third right here.
Bring your ass.
That is the Ant-Man. He is back, yes, and he had one hell of a game, to say the least. 18 points coming off the bench, only playing like 25 minutes or so, and he was able to just light it up off the bench. And people keep saying, is Ant the Wolverine? Is he Wolverine? He damn near might be, because he was fantastic in Game 1 against the Spurs. Not only that, but Julius Randle was phenomenal again. He had 21 points, 10 rebounds, which is perfect against a team like the San Antonio Spurs, who rely on Wemby for a lot of it. And they held Wemby to 11 points. Jaden McDaniels, another solid game as well, 16 points in the game. And he was great defensively, especially against their top guys. So the Wolves get it done in San Antonio. Voldy, there's been a lot of doubt from, guess who? The national media. Or better yet, ESPN. ESPN really has gone after the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have they keep doubting him. Besides Perk,
Yep.
Perk has changed his tune after that first game. But again, it's. I feel like it's going to be a series now. This isn't going to be something that's not going to be a walk in the park. I feel like.
Right.
But based off of what we saw in Game 1, you got to feel very confident in how the Wolves match up with this team because, quite frankly, I think the Wolves are kind of a better team at this point because the role players, the experience has helped this team in these past years to be able to take on an experienced team that's kind of learning how to, work with that. But again, when you have Wemby, maybe you can learn on the fly. I don't know. That's going to be a fun series. So, Voldy, let me ask you this. What are your impressions of the Wolves after Game 1? They did get lucky, I will add real quick.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If they make that shot at the end, we're talking about a whole different thing. But
Exactly.
you missed. That's all that matters. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on the Wolves after Game 1?
Well, I think this was just definitely the case of perfect timing overall. Of course, you get that little shot in the arm that the team definitely needed with Anthony Edwards coming back. Him coming off the bench was very interesting, obviously, because with the injury and wanting to not overstress him and all that, but also seeing a big step up from Mike Conley, the old man, 24 minutes, 12 points, 4 of 7 from downtown, while also getting 6 assists. It's great to see that the old man still knows how to do it. Just piling in also Terrence Shannon Jr., you get Jaden McDaniels both going for 16, like we'd mentioned too, with Julius Randle going for 21. Just getting that production alone, and then you also throw in, 30 combined points off the bench with Anthony Edwards and our tribal chief, Nas Reed. Acknowledge your tribal chief, as always. But then you look at some of the numbers too. It's not like Minnesota had a lights out performance shooting the ball from downtown. 10 of 26 shooting from 3, 38%. Now, San Antonio did come up with that same amount of made 3-pointers, but they did rely a little bit heavy at the back half as well, too. I mean, they were 10 for 36, so 10 more attempts than Minnesota. Unfortunately, no more makes out of that, so going for 28% from the field. And especially when you've got Wemby, who is, 7'13", going 0 for 8 from 3-point range. Feel like we're trying to force the issue a little bit too much with Wemby, and also 12 block shots too from him, and 13 defensive rebounds in total for out of his 15 on the night too. It's kind of a bit of a mismatch to certainly say the least, but at least overall from the team, I mean, every starter on San Antonio had double-digit points. But for the T-Wolves, I mean, they definitely got a couple of bounces in the back half and just had that. I think this is where the experience is kicking in a little bit more as opposed to San Antonio, who is, really starting to pick things up. I mean, of the experienced guys that they have on the floor when it comes to, playoff experience, Harrison Barnes really is the only one that's got the more experience. He only played 10 minutes. I mean, and he won a couple of rings with Golden State. But other than that, Wemby, Champagne, with De'Aaron Fox, Vassell, and Castle. I mean, other than that, there's not a whole lot of extended playoff experience with this group.
That is a great point because I said this to our guy Cole Munson just today, Voldy. I was just asking what he thought of Game 1 and, what to look forward to here in Game 2. But he said that, Wemby, he missed 8 3-pointers. I mean, he is a very good outside shooter. He was 5 of 17 from the field. But the Wolves did a great job. They boxed him out. They used their body. And, we got to give credit to Rudy Gobert. I mean, I know those two are buds and everything, but in this case, he's not your friend in this series. Like, he's the enemy. You got to take him, take him out. And I think what they did against Wemby was very, very good. I think defensively they did a good job of limiting him to long shots instead of easy dunks and alley-oops and of that sort. And you got to credit that to Chris Finch. I know that a lot of zoners and possibly Wolves fans have been critical of Finch. They think that Finch, there are certain qualities of Finch that they don't like and the decisions that he's made. One thing I want to remind people is that the Wolves have gone to the Western Conference Finals 2 times, right? And there is a method to this madness, and Micah Nori has done the whole coaching staff in general has done a phenomenal job. They know what they want to do with this team. They know this team inside and out. Now, I agree with Finch on a couple things. And again, the national media is all up in arms about how, Finch is, saying these things and, no repercussions or anything. But listen,
Right.
he has a point with the goaltendings on Victor Wembanyama. I felt like there were at least a lot of people were saying 4 or 5. I'd probably say 3 or 4 just because, it's tough because when you're that tall, it's easy to kind of swat those shots. But a lot of them, it should have been called. And I agree with Finch because, this score wouldn't have been that close. I mean, it was 104 to 102. So I don't look at this as a bad thing for the Timberwolves. But I'm glad that Finch addressed it and say, hey, listen, they got to look at this because, there were some costly points in the game that costed us, right? And credit to San Antonio, they really played well down the stretch and they had a chance to win it at the end. They missed, so be it. But the one thing I want to discuss about this is that, yes, he had 12 blocks. I think he probably should have just had 8, but that's just me. And some people agree with that. Not saying every single national media person said. Brian Windhorst said, he agreed with how Finch went about it, and he credited Finch a lot, which I think people are not really talking about. So we got to give Finchy his props. I'll give him props. But another thing, Voldy, that you brought up, and I'm glad you did bring this up, is that outside of Wembanyama, there really isn't some guys that I'm kind of worried about him. Castle, okay, right. I could see that. He's a good player. De'Aaron Fox, streaky shooter, but he's minus 13 last, so he wasn't very good. He might have.
He's very points. He's the setup guy. He's the Chris Paul for Wembanyama. He's very much the setup guy, and maybe get some points every now and then, but very much, he's the facilitator of that offense.
And Champagne, he had a pretty good game. I'll give him credit. But I'm just looking at their roster, and I'm just like, these guys don't scare me. Like, they don't, And when you have guys like Jaden McDaniels who can take out one of your best players on the court, he did a phenomenal job, I thought, against Castle. I think he did a good job against Vassell and Castle and Bassel and Rassel and there's a lot of Castles Vassals on this team now. But I just think I'm just looking at this and I'm saying these guys don't scare me that much. That I feel like in some parts, I would say the Nuggets, I felt like scared me a little bit more because of Jokic, and you never know what Murray's going to do. But again, I don't want to say that they're that this is going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be tough. It is. So, but game 2 tonight, Ant. It says he's questionable, but it sounds like it feels like he's going to play. Io is officially back. That is going to be big because having him back is going to help a lot. Ant. I want to ask you about Ant, and I'll ask the zoners as well. Nachacha, what's up? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in tonight. Ant, 25 minutes, 18 points, 8 of 13 from the field on 2 bad knees. Voldy. I just a lot of these NBA players would take a lot of time off in order to, fully be healthy. But Ant went out there. Finch was great with his minutes. And he was effective. He was fantastic. So, what can we expect from Ant in Game 2 here? I mean, do you think he's going to even take it to a higher level now? What do you think?
I mean, it's kind of tough to say, obviously, coming from the game on Monday and then ultimately tonight's contest as well. I mean, learning also just the way the schedule's working out. It's literally every other day for this whole second round. It's not, like the Wild situation where they played Sunday and then they played Tuesday and then they don't play again until Saturday. It's literally every other day for here all the way into a possible game 7 if it should go that far. So I think the managing of the minutes, maybe a couple extra minutes for Ant if he is still able to go, but if it's starting to wear down a little bit early for him, or maybe he's just not 100%. Well, obviously he's not 100% with those two bad knees right now, but if it starts, if things start to get out of hand, or maybe he's just not feeling it right off the bat. I feel like the Timberwolves definitely need to be a little bit more cautious in this situation because you got game one. Game one was, pretty close to a must get right off the bat, especially getting one of the two games on the road to open up the series against a young and hungry San Antonio team. But you throw in this contest tonight as well. If they could find a way to get game 2 going up 2-0, coming back to the crib would be huge. But I would feel if things start to get out of hand, sometime maybe mid third quarter or something, it might be a situation where we may need to shut it down or at least start to taper things off in the sense of Ant.
Well, and again, I think with this game 2 tonight, the Spurs know how important winning tonight is, because I think if the Wolves are able to win tonight, I'm just saying, like, this is probably going to be Wolves in 5 or at least 6, because if you go to San Antonio and you beat them twice on their home court and you have to come back to Target Center and dealing with that crowd and that atmosphere, for a team that really hasn't been in the playoffs much, that could affect them a lot. And they got to prove a lot tonight if they're going to get it done against the Wolves, because now everyone's looking at this and saying, hold up, let's see how this plays out. The Wolves aren't this team that's just going to, keel over and just be a team that you're just like, oh, they're gonna fold and everything like that. They don't. They honestly don't. You might say that about the regular season, whatever. It doesn't matter. When it matters, and when they are on, they are tough to beat. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself for the series or anything like that, because we got a long ways to go, folks. So this is it's going to be a fun series, and hopefully tonight, if the Wolves win, it's looking pretty damn good that the Wolves could hopefully win 2 at home. We could get the brooms out. That'd be great.
That'd be sweet.
I still think Wolves in 6, but again, tomorrow or after tonight, that could change to something else. You never know.
Very well could.
So, we will be watching tonight, seeing how the Wolves do. Unfortunately, it's another late night game. 8:30. At least it's not 9:30. At least it's not 9:30.
Yeah, thankfully.
But at the same time, I wish it was like 7:30. But, that's why we got the show, too. So we got that going for us. So go Wolves, and we'll see what happens here tonight. All right, a team that's been kind of – it's been a struggle. It's really been a struggle for our Minnesota Wild. And, now that I've been doing this hat switching thing, I think I need to, do the right thing and do it again. So here we go. Wild.
Hey,
colors,
a very
Minnesota.
popular hat that was last night out on the
That's
softball
right.
field. Yes. Hooked up the boys with some MinneZona Sports Live headwear, and the Wild colors were a big turnout, and the Gopher ones as well. Well, not surprisingly, but the Gopher ones were a big hit with the guys.
The maroon and gold is a very nice color. I really like that type of color too, and I think that's why Arizoners love it so much is because of that, and our Vikings one as well. So, like we said, these are available. Let us know. Minnesota Wild. Now, that first game was insane, to say the least. I couldn't keep up with all the goals and everything like that. Actually, I could. I'm just being funny. Not really in some way. But I think that it was exciting. I just wish that we didn't give up as many goals as they did. I just think things fell apart, and the Wild just didn't do a great job defensively against the Avs in Game 1. I felt like in Game 2, it felt like they were more physical. The Wild couldn't get it done on the power play again, which is, you're not going to win many playoff series if you can't get goals on the power play. And also, them on the PK hasn't been good either, because Colorado was struggling against the Kings. Now they're doing quite well against the Wild, which isn't a good sign. So these past few games, Voldy haven't been great. I'm just going to ask you outright, and I asked this of the Zoners, and again, we say to the Zoners, give us your thoughts. Let us know what you think the current situation is with the Wild. But I want your guys' thoughts. Let us know. Voldy, what are your thoughts here? I mean, are the Avs just that damn good, and the Wild just can't really keep up with these guys? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. The one thing being off the bat, of course, you got what you expected against the Colorado Avalanche. This team is too good to give any sort of added incentive to put the puck in the back of the net. I mean, they roll all four lines, and their four lines are solid. We're not even talking about the top line with McKinnon and Natchez and Landeskog, and you throw in guys like Brock Nelson, Olympic gold champion as well too, former UND Fighting Sioux player on top of that. But team's too good to give any sort of added help, especially on the power play, because they just get way too creative. And let's also throw in, they've got the old man on the blue line as well, and Brent Burns, former Minnesota Wild legend, on top of that. How you doing? Keep it moving. This team is just way too experienced with the way that they've been able to have such deep playoff runs. They are, a few years removed from a Stanley Cup championship, but a bunch of those core guys from that group are still there. I mean, Landeskog has had to miss a couple of years, almost 2.5 years plus, because he had that knee injury after winning the Stanley Cup. And now he is starting to get back that time to a point where he is probably gonna be able to extend his career out a little bit further based off of that. Then you also throw in for the Wild side of things. Yes, the struggles on the staying out of the box and the penalty kill has not been great, especially the first couple of games. That's what kind of hurt them in the middle couple of games in the opening round series against Dallas too. You stay out of the penalty box, you're gonna do yourself fairly well, because Dallas was just putting power play goals in left and right, and not hating any of it from that matter. But another big thing for the Wild too is injuries. Unfortunately, the injuries starting to mount up as well, with just their two better players, I would definitely say, of their top four on offense, and of course on the defensive side, with Joel Eriksson Ek and of course Jonas Brodin being hurt. Not overly flashy, but guys that get the job done, have been around for so long, and both of them being out and not even making the trip to Denver certainly hurt the overall makeup of the team. Then you take out a guy like Zach Bogosian, who is a very stay-at-home, sturdy defenseman, and you throw him in for Jeff Petrie. It kind of showed its wear for it as well, with Bogosian also being a guy who's definitely, if those feathers start to get ruffled a little bit, he's going to be the one to kind of settle things down, either with his talking or with his fists, for sure too. But again, hasn't been for a lack of effort, but I will definitely see that, of course, from the opening contest where it was definitely very much run and shoot. Let's see who's going to put the first 1 to 10 wins, basically. That's what it kind of felt like in that first game compared to game number 2, where missed opportunities, shooting yourself in the foot, and the injuries really start to mount up. And of course, Boldy got tossed around a little bit too much in that second game as well. That right now it doesn't look good for the Wild, but like we were talking about as well in our conversations too, see what happens when home ice comes rolling around here and maybe get that little bit of advantage coming up here this weekend.
Well, and you're right, because when we were talking last night, and when you said that, I was like, yeah, maybe that's kind of the energy that they need, and maybe that does something for them. I do want to bring this up real quick. Our guy Alex, he at least one other team isn't letting you down. Okay, yeah, I know. But let me add something here. He was a little quiet with that Wolves and Denver series. I don't know. I mean, we had our show and we were waiting for you and didn't hear a peep.
Not a peep.
Just throwing that out there. But now that the Avalanche are up 2-0 on the Wild, look who's in the chat right now. Very interesting. Just to say the least. But anyway, about this game. Or this series. Voldy, I watched both of the games. I felt like the Avalanche were fast as hell. They were all over the ice. They took advantage of all the mistakes. Middleton, oh my gosh, he had some bad turnovers in the Wild zone, and I think that led to a lot of goals. Did I think Wallstead kind of let up some softies in game 1? Yeah, I would say that he did a little bit, but I'm not fully blaming him because I thought there were some that he was very good on. Gus Bus, I don't know if I would have made that decision to have him be in net because it definitely showed how it just seemed like he hadn't been playing for X amount of games, and he gets in there and then he's letting up these goals. Again, not all his fault, but I would have maybe kept Wallstead in. But that's just me. I don't know. They didn't play well in both of those games, besides maybe offensively in game 1. But I just felt like the Avs were much faster. Game 2, they were way more physical. I think you could argue a little bit that they had some, and again, I'm not saying it's the full thing, but there were some cheap hits, I felt like, in that game, and I just felt like they were more physical than us. They nailed the Iceman, Matt Boldy, unfortunately, towards the end. McKinnon. Is it just me, or do I don't like McKinnon. He's a hell of a player, but like, God, I don't like that dude. I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't like him. He's just an a-hole, man. Don't like him.
He is this generation Sidney Crosby. You just look at him and it's just like, I don't like you. I just don't like your face for some reason. You're a hell of a player. I just don't like you. I know. And it so happens to be from the same hometown in Nova Scotia. Like, of course you guys are. You're pretty much the same guy, but it's like, yeah, it's just with McKinnon and then Landeskog too. You see these guys and they're just like, God, I'd love to have you on my team, but God, I hate when you play against my team. Yeah,
Let's not forget that McKinnon was the guy that had that open net against USA, and he whiffed. So just want to throw that cheap shot out there, and it's warranted at this point. So Alex does say that the Wolves were the better team. He admits it. Okay, that's cool. I was hoping to see you. I was hoping to see you on a couple of our shows, but we saw you nunts. We didn't see you anywhere. So I just like messing with him. McKinnon is the GOAT, and again, That's
Yeah.
coming from a Denver guy, Colorado guy. So, it is what it is. I wouldn't say that he is. I don't think so. But I will say that he was wheeling and dealing in game 2. I will say that. I mean, I got to admit, he was very, very good. So, Voldy, here's the tough question I got to ask you. Both of us as Wild fans here. I mean, you mentioned the home ice. You mentioned the experience that the Avalanche have. But when you're looking at the Wild here in Game 3 on Saturday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Is there anything that you saw in those 2 games where it's like, maybe the Wild can exploit this? I think one of those things, and this is just me, and again, I'm not a huge hockey guy, but what I will say is I think they could take advantage of their goalie. I don't think he's that good. He made a couple nice saves. Not saying that he's not saying that he's just a total bum, but I just think that the Wild can take advantage. They had a couple of nice goals against him, but I don't know, Voldy, what do you think? Is there any real hope that the Wild can maybe kind of get back into this? What do you got?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of hope too, and hopefully the time off from last night and going into obviously the rest of the week into Saturday will help, not only health wise, but just kind of reset things. You get to go home, sleep in your own bed, kind of get back to that routine a little bit, and that will certainly help. I feel like in a few different directions, but ultimately too, like you said, getting after their goalie, that all really starts with just really trying to set the pace too. And with Colorado, I mean, the Wild were definitely trying to play Colorado's game, which was very much a physical, crash the net, at least try to create more spacing opportunities and run a couple of set plays, especially on the power play. Colorado's power play killed the Wild in the first 2 games for sure. But then just kind of really starting to slow things down because of what we saw with the Wild, especially from the opening series and the success that they've seen here through these first couple of games. If any success you want to throw into it, it's all about slowing things down, trying to make that extra pass, and then ultimately try to get somebody in a bit of a mismatch. And that's what you want to see here out of the Wild too. Get the goaltender moving too with Wedgwood, who has been a very, very steady goaltender for them. Hence the reason why they have been one of the top teams throughout the entire NHL all season with him in net. Blackwood as well. Of course, the 2 of them, Wedgwood and Blackwood, they're affectionately known as the Lumberyard, I believe, is what they've called them out in Denver and throughout the NHL too. But yeah, there's definitely a few things to take advantage of, but definitely slowing down the game is going to be something that they're going to have to do because Colorado's a fast team, very, very fast, very strong in their skates, of course, very physical too. They need to be able to find a way to, try to flip the script a little bit and slow things down this next couple of games.
Well, and again, this is very true in itself because Alex says this too, and I agree with this. The Wild been leaving their goalies out to dry all series, too many turnovers. I agree with that. I do.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say that the goalies that I feel like where they could do better is if you can't be letting up these softy goals that you normally make, right? And I'm not bashing them necessarily. And again, Gustafsson put into a situation where it's like, here you go. This is your opportunity to show us that you can get this done. And, a couple turnovers. And Brodin and Eck, them being out has affected this team a lot. And I think, I don't know what the status of either of them will be come Saturday. Are they far off? I don't know. I really haven't heard anything in regards to that. If we can get at least maybe one of them back, that'd be great. But I don't know the whole situation. Someone kept saying that Brodin might have broken something, which that means, well, he's donezo.
No bueno.
More than likely, depending on what it is, I guess. But the one thing that I will say is having home ice, being able to capitalize on your opportunities. They have to be physical with this team. they have burned our defensemen a couple times. As much as I love Brock Faber, he got burned a couple times by the forwards. And I think them getting on Hughes a lot because he got nailed a couple times too. They were keying in on those key guys. They keyed in on Quinn Hughes, Quinnesota. They keyed in on the Iceman, Matt Boldy. We have to find ways to not have that happen, right? Mm-hmm. We can't have that happen. That's why after they scored that first goal, Voldy, I'm like, this isn't good. But then 6 seconds after, our guy, Kirill the Thrill, nets one, which was fantastic. We need more of that. A lot of people are wondering where he has been, these couple series. But again, you can never, he's always keyed in on. And teams know if you don't key in on Kirill the Thrill, you're going to get burned. So this is going to be a big test. If they lose Saturday, it's over. I would say if they lose on Saturday, it's over. But if they win, there's a little bit of hope. And, if they can win 2 at home, oh gosh, we're talking a whole different thing now. This is going, I said this would go to 7, and I'm hoping it goes to 7. But, I think if they lose on Saturday, it might be over. So, but that doesn't mean that this season, I would say, and again, I don't want to get this far into it, but this season has been a success in the way that they have been able to get the monkey off their back, bringing in a guy like Quinn Hughes that has done wonders for this team. And we'll talk about it more here in Infinity Rankings. But in order to beat a team like the Avalanche, you have to match them with talent, right? And they've built a really good team. We got to admit it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, if you want to beat those guys, you gotta make some deals, and I think Billy G will at the end of the season. Either way, so we'll keep in tune for Saturday. It's kind of weird. We won't be seeing any wild hockey for like a couple days now, so it's like, weird.
It was weird last night too. They were the only game on, which was wild. Pun intended, if you will.
Just
crazy how they were the only game on out of all the series, and now it's just like, all right, well, we'll see you Saturday, I guess, and everybody else will be like at least 2 more games in by that point. So
here's an interesting one, Voldy. Whoever wins the series wins it all.
1,000%. I agree with that. I literally said
I like that.
If Colorado going up 2-0 in the series, if they win this series, they are winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah. And I would be mad, but I wouldn't be, smash all the windows in my house and, throw my TV out in the backyard mad. I'd just be like, oh, that's annoying.
This isn't 2009 NFC Championship game.
There's some guys on Colorado that I'm cheering for. Brock Nelson being one of them. He's been in the league so darn long. Hasn't even sniffed a chance for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. He's been rumored to come.
I'd really like this. Yeah. And I would love to see him hoist the Stanley Cup at least once before it's all said and done, because not too many more years in front of him. So
yeah, it's very true. And Alex says too, the Canes are playing a weak Eastern Division, which I do agree with as well. Because I just don't see any team. Because Lightning are out, right? Didn't they lose to
Lightning? Yep, Lightning got bounced out. Florida had a down year with injuries on their side too after a couple of long previous seasons. But a lot to rebound. I mean, this could be the year for Carolina. I think just because they've always been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. In that regard, and this could definitely be the year where they could sneak their way through the East and find their way into the final.
We will have to see. So, Saturday, see what happens. Go from there. So that is going to. Here we go. The Habs look great too. Might be a dark horse. Yeah, I mean, again, they. You never know, but at the same time, it is the Habs. Just saying. I hate to do that, but at the same time, it is the Habs. But that'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this time around. A lot of Wild talk, a lot of Wolves talk, but we're not stopping because Infinity Rankings. Look, was it Thursday? Yeah. Last Thursday, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Minnesota Wild won in 6 games. Both teams played on the same night. Both teams got the win. Another team won, the Twins, but we don't really give a crap about that. At the same time, they won, which is great. We like it. But they did something that really hasn't been done, and this state hasn't been so excited in a long time. Hasn't been this excited for these teams in a long time. Besides maybe the Wolves in these past recent years, but again, both these teams winning on the same night is almost unheard of, especially in this state. We've been just hungry for a championship in one of the major 4, right? We've been hoping that's the case. So let's take a trip down to last week and discuss why both of these teams were able to get the win over teams that everybody thought were going to beat them. Right? ESPN was saying the Nuggets in 6 and 7, 5. You got the Stars in 5, 6, 7. That didn't happen at all. 0, zilch, nada. So I'm going to give you my top 6. I got to put on the gauntlet because this is a Infinity Rankings segment. We got to put on the gauntlet, Thanos, the whole deal. But listen, we got to talk about it. You guys can throw in your thoughts as well. What you thought was great about the whole series with the Wild and the Wolves. So I need help here because this is it's hard holding this thing because it's so big and everything like that. And it's just like I'm trying to find the right. Where is it? There it is. So
I am inevitable.
It's time for Infinity Rankings.
While many have power rankings, none have captured them all. It's time for Matty C's Infinity Rankings.
Now you're probably wondering, and again, when I said this, doesn't Minnesota have a WNBA championship? Yes, they do. And the women have been kicking the men's butts for sure. So claps out to the women for getting it done.
And
the
PWHL, back to back.
That's right, back to back. We love it. Ladies have been showing us the guys. And again, that's, it's all credit to them. But we're starving. We're starving for one in the men's stuff. So we got the Infinity Gauntlet ready to go. We're going to put it off to the side because I can't do 2 or 3 things at once with this whole thing. So we got to do this the right way, obviously, because, on the show, when we do our reveals, we like to do a little bit of a drum roll. So give me a second to find it. Gosh, there's just we have so many, sound bites now. It's insane. There it is. Okay, here we go. Boom! Boom! There it is! Yes! That is what we got for our Infinity Rankings. I will be moving this, just FYI, guys. I know you guys are probably be going, oh, take a look at this. But here, let's get you going here with these Infinity Rankings. Yes. So starting off at number 6, we're going to start with the Wolves. So again, hat change. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Number 6, I have to give flowers to a guy that is very heavily criticized in the world of sports. That being Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert has been the butt of jokes. He's been the guy everyone likes to pick on, the whole COVID situation that he did, which, again, his fault, by the way, to say the least. But Rudy Gobert did a phenomenal, and I repeat, a phenomenal job against Joker. I felt like that was the X factor in the series. Joker had, he's going to make his baskets. He's going to, do what he does. He's the Joker, right? But Rudy Gobert played great defense on him. He did not let Jokic take advantage of him. Jokic couldn't really hit from deep the whole series. But Rudy Gobert was playing like the defensive player of the year that he is. The fact that Rudy Gobert was able to contain Jokic, and some people are like, well, he didn't do, he could have gotten this, and this. It's like, you guys don't realize that Jokic is an MVP. He's an NBA Finals champion. Look, Rudy Gobert stepped up. It's time to give him some flowers. He was an X factor in this series against the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. He went and he said F you to all the haters and took down the Joker. And he's going up against Wembanyama, and guess what? Rudy looked great against Wembanyama. I mean, they're buddies and everything, whatever. But he did a fantastic job. He has to continue that, obviously. We got to see that in the series. But a lot of people don't give Rudy credit. He played well against the Nuggets. So credit out to Rudy Gobert in that series. All right, number 5, hat switch. Bada bing, bada boom. Minnesota Wild. Well, let's take a look at this real quick here, Zoners. The Minnesota Wild, or Quinnesota Wild, I would say, that Game 6 that Quinnesota had, and the whole series, he was fantastic. Mm-hmm. The goals that he had in that game, the impact that he made for this team, nothing short of outstanding. This has to be one of the greatest trades the Minnesota Wild have ever made. And this is what buying in does for you. Quinn Hughes gave the team the boost to go up against a Dallas Stars team that, quote-unquote, has beaten the Wild, in the playoffs many times already. Now they're finally to get over that hump. And the reason why they were able to get over that hump was, one, Quinn Hughes, a.k.a. Quinnesota. Now, without him, I think this would be a whole different series. It would be a lot tougher for the Wild to win. He has been that good for the Minnesota Wild. And the fact that, and again, I'm just talking about this series. I'm not talking about the series that's going on right now, because this is our, we're kind of more focusing on the previous series. But Quinn Hughes has given this team a great, he's a great scorer. I think he's great with the puck. Him and Faber together are probably one of the top duos in for the defensemen on the Wild. I mean, they're that damn good. And I think we have to give, credit where credit's due to Billy G for making that happen. And I have been nothing short of impressed by what Quinn Hughes has done for the Minnesota Wild. So he's at number 5. Number 4. Man, it's cold in here. The Iceman, Matt Boldy. Oh my God. That guy was phenomenal. He could not be stopped against the Stars. They didn't know how to handle him. He made moves. He made moves on 3 guys at one time and scored. He got a goal taken away from him, which I think is BS. But it is what it is. The Iceman was so good against the Dallas Stars. The way that he was able to have this type of series against them fully shows how good this young man can be and will be, in the future. I mean, if not already. We'd like to see, more, obviously, in the series against the Avalanche, and hopefully I think, we'll see that. But he has earned this nickname. Now, whether or not you want to roll with it, on the Twitter sphere, or X, formerly known as Twitter, I did put the Iceman graphic out there. I think people really liked it. It's gotten it really has gotten a lot of views, if I'm not mistaken. People like the name. I think it's good. Yeah, it blew up. So, hey, if we're cool with calling Matt Boldy the Iceman, let's do it. Now, I want to put, credit to, guys that have been called the Iceman before, or guys that are going to be dropping an album called Iceman, being Jersey Drake. Can't wait for that. But for hockey, I think Matt Boldy has earned the name the Iceman. The guy is smooth. He can score at will. I love the Iceman. I love Matt Boldy, and he was fantastic in those games. All right, number 3, I think we have to tip our caps to the Minnesota faithful, the Minnesota sports fans. Watching all of those games, Voldy, the amount of passion, the amount of people that were up out of their seats watching both teams and what they did, what they were able to do with cheering on their team, a state coming together and to be able to celebrate not only their basketball team, but their hockey team as well. The attendance was outstanding. The amount of people that watched every game, the amount of people that don't even really watch the sports that are on, are watching these games because it's exciting. People are loving this. This has been great for the state of Minnesota. We've seen everyone's dedicated with the Vikings. We love it. We appreciate it. The Wild are very well dedicated. And again, the Wolves are too. A lot of people love the Wolves as well. Don't want to get into the Twins, but that's a whole different situation. But I need to give the Minnesota fans their flowers here. They were fantastic all series for each team. Let's see what happens on Saturday for the Minnesota Wild. There's still going to be a big crowd. Yeah, they might be down 2-0. But you know what? They were down 2-0. Was it 2003? They were down 2-0, Voldy, if I'm not mistaken, when they played the Avs last time. Or was that the 2014 one? I can't remember.
2014.
2014. Okay, so that was a 2014 one. And they won. They won the series. So you never know. History could repeat itself. I'm just saying. I'm knocking on wood when I'm saying this. But we need to shout out the Minnesota sports fans here in Minnesota. Claps out to you. Yes, you, people who attended, who watched from a different state, a different country. Minnesota came together, united, and that's what we love about our Minnesota sports. Voldy, number 2. This man, Jaden McDaniels. Oh my God, that young man has a set of gorilla nuts on him. Mm-hmm. That dude went after the Denver Nuggets after game 2 and said they're all bad defenders. Jokic, Murray, Johnson, Brown, whatever the last name of that guy is, it don't matter. Wolves in 6. Jaden McDaniels called him out. And what did Jaden McDaniels do in Game 6? He scored 30-plus points. He locked up Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, the flopper that he is, and took him to school. Jaden McDaniels talked the talk, and oh my God, Voldy, he walked the walk. Jaden McDaniels. Slim, as we like to say here as well. So you might have the Joker, you might have Jamal Murray, but as Anthony Edwards once said,
but we got Jaden McDaniels.
But we got Jaden McDaniels. He was awesome defensively. He was awesome offensively. When Ant was down, when Io was down, DiVincenzo went down. This dude stepped up in Game 6 after losing in Game 5 in Denver and said, hold on, I got this. Jaden McDaniels willed this team to a series win over the Nuggets. Again, I might add. The Wolves have had the Nuggets number in the playoffs, and oh my God, Jaden McDaniels, I mean, we might have to make a statue of him after that series. Because he called those dudes out, and They didn't do anything. They literally just took it and said, "Oh, well, you could say it on his podcast." So I think that's what Adelman said. Dude, he doesn't even have a podcast, and he still is kicking your ass. The fact that the Nuggets just sat there and took it says a lot. And they said, "Oh, they've been talking all series and whatnot." Well, Jaden McDaniels said, "Nah, I'm gonna call you out because you guys aren't that good." Jamal Murray, I want to get to. He says he pointed the finger at himself. If I played a little better, I feel like we win that game. Bro, you were 4 for 17. You were terrible. And even when you did score, Jaden McDaniels wasn't even guarding you. I mean, it's just, it's hilarious because it's just like he's absolutely obliterated these guys. And he's dancing on their graves. I mean, that's why they're out, is because Jaden McDaniels stepped up and said, these guys ain't that good. And he proved it. So Jaden McDaniels is very deserving of number 2. Now, the number 1, I feel like it's undeniable, Voldy. The number 1, I think, is pretty much sums up both teams. And I would say, if I had 2 heads, I'd wear it. You know what? Let's go like this. I don't know. Whatever. The both of those games, I mean, my eyes were glued. Voldy, I did not I changed channels to, get to end of games and, whatnot. But I literally watched both of those games. And let me tell you, it was one of the best experiences I have had as a Minnesota sports fan in this state. It's one of the most fun experiences. I'm very big Vikings. I've always been big Vikings. But watching our Minnesota teams do what they did on that day last week on Thursday sums up what the future could be for both these teams. Now, I know right now it's been tough for the Wild and, them being down 2-0. The Wolves, taking a 1-0 lead, which is great. And again, it doesn't get any easier for the Wolves at this point. But seeing how many people were watching, how many people were there, how many people experienced this, we're not used to this because it's just like, oh, another down year. Or some team makes it and then they get kicked out of the first round, yada, yada, yada. But these Game 6s were so good for the state, especially what's been happening in the political realm and all this other stuff. But one thing that brings people together, and not the only thing, but is sports. And the Minnesota, sports teams kind of gave that to our state. And again, shouts out to everybody on the Minnesota Wild, the Minnesota Timberwolves. We salute you. What a phenomenal Game 6 last week on Thursday. We love every second of it. So that is my list. I'll go like this too. Let me do like a.
There you go.
Something like that. I don't know. There you go. But, Voldy, what are your thoughts here? I mean, is there anything you'd like to add? Is there anything you'd switch around? What do you got?
No, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head on all of it. Just seeing the emergence of Jaden McDaniels, of course, the Iceman, Matt Boldy, too, and, of course, Quinnesota making his statement known, coming from over in Vancouver, and now with the Wild here from that midseason trade to at least be the player that he has been destined to be. Of course, an impact player on a playoff team has been great to see too. Just the fan turnout as well. And just the overall team buy-in that we've seen not only from the fans, but also from the fellow Minnesota pro sport teams on top of it. Of course, you saw, I believe it was the Twins on their recent road trip, all rocking their Minnesota Wild jerseys. That was awesome to see as they boarded the plane for DC as they're playing right now out in our nation's capital. Of course, the support that, Vikings fans and Vikings players have been stacking into the Grand Casino Arena, and of course with the Target Center as well. It's great to see how everybody's starting to pull in the same direction with the great run that these two teams that are, in the playoffs have been putting together here so far through these last few weeks.
Yeah, And, again, it's very unheard of in this state. And, it's one way to, have all of us come together, and it's fun. And, shouts out to everyone, like I said before. So, Zoners, let us know, too, what you guys think of my Infinity rankings for this go-around. If you love it, you hate it, you want to add something to it, I might be missing something. I very well might be missing something.
Very well could be.
I very well could be. But at the same time, let me know. We have, a lot to talk about in regards to these teams right now. So, and it's a privilege to be able to still talk about these teams because they're still playing. It's not like we're like, oh, how did the Twins lose this go around? That whole thing. But again, shouts out to the Twins supporting the Minnesota teams. That was really cool. I did see that. So shouts out to them for that. So, yeah, that'll do it for Infinity Rankings this go around. Thanks for watching both, not only on the desktop version, but the real or short YouTube Shorts version as well. We got an ARA. We got a stacked ARA. The Tigers, Skubal undergoes elbow surgery. Are the Tigers in trouble? We will discuss. And after that, Anthony Richardson. Is he going to report to the Colts workouts? Do we know? Do we have any indications? A lot of trade talk about Anthony Richardson this past offseason. Paige Buckets and Asia Wilson tabbed as franchise launchers. Do we agree with that? We will discuss. Bryson DeChambeau, he's going to go to YouTube full time? He's going to be a YouTube star? Whatever. You can be, as long as he's not Jake Paul or Logan Paul or anything like that. Hashtag can we fire Logan Paul is the question. The last one here. Coaches propose college football schedule changes, which I wouldn't be opposed to. We'll discuss that as well. So I think we need to get going. What's up? Absurd or approved?
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, you want to rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we start off in the world of Major League Baseball and inside the American League Central Division, where Detroit Tigers ace and two-time defending AL Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal has undergone arthroscopic surgery for some loose bodies in his throwing elbow, that being his left elbow, as it was announced on Monday. He went through the procedure today as well. Just with the last wear and tear that he has been through, of course, with the process that he has been through, the procedure typically could have him sidelined for the next 2 to 3 months, even though a specific timeline has not been unveiled by the Tigers and the organization, as well as manager AJ Hinch. Now, the Tigers, as of right now, sitting in first place, tied in first place with an 18-19 record in the American League Central, which is leading the way. But also, if you'd put that 18-19 record, you'd be the worst team in the NL Central. And everybody just loves taking a big old dump on the AL Central year in and year out, even though that's where real baseball is being played. Now, with Tarek Skubal, of course, being the reigning Cy Young Award winner, the Tigers, of course, that huge staff that they have built, even though now they're going to be without the services of Framber Valdez for the next 6 games. Is it absurd or approved? Now, with Skubal out for the considerable future, will the Tigers be in first place by the time that Skubal returns in the next 2 to 3 months, as the early indications would say?
I'm literally looking at the standings right now in the AL Central. The Twins are a game and a half out of first. That is, first of all, it's awful division to say the least. But I wouldn't be surprised. Look, the Tigers look like, I know the Twins had the success against them early in the season, but I mean, now that you're down those 2 guys, doesn't look good for your chances, but at the same time, it won't probably even even matter because all these other teams aren't very good either, including the Twins. So it wouldn't surprise me. And if they're still in first place after that, it's only going to get better for them, I would assume. Now, in their last 10, they're 4 or 6, but they're good at home. I mean, a lot of teams are very good at home too, but they're 12 and 5 at home. But like, I just look at it, I mean, they have a losing record. Every team in the division has a losing record. So I would be absolutely shocked if they did fall off a cliff. I mean, that wouldn't be good in the standings per se. But when you made those moves for those guys, you were hoping to kind of get to that next step and be ahead of the teams that are in this division right now. And they're not all very good. They put in all that money, and injuries will hurt you, and as the Twins know very well. But hey, at least they went out and tried. I think for this team to they just have to not go on long losing streaks. They have to beat these teams in the division that aren't very good, and then kind of see where things go from there. I think Justin Verlander is still wheeling and dealing right now, if I'm not mistaken. So they do have him, and they have some other guys that I think they're trying to weave in as well. So, I mean, I don't want to count out the Guardians. I feel like the Guardians kind of hang in there a lot too. They're very up and down team though. Royals look better. The White Sox look, they don't look as terrible as they used to. But I'm going to say, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. I think that they will stay. I know it's a little bit of a shocker. I think they will stay in contention. Wow, that was 2 of them. Wow, that was kind of cool.
Ayo.
2 stamps of approval. But yeah, I think they will. I just think that you're going to be able to take advantage of these bad teams in the Central, which is kind of sad to say, but a lot of people are looking at that division and saying like, well, they're going to most of these teams are going to be out come playoff time. So, yeah, stamp of approval. Foldy, what do you got?
I mean, I kind of equate it to like the AL Central's like the NFC North of Major League Baseball, the old black and blue division where everybody's just beating up on each other for the first 162 games, and the division is clinched in the final 2-3 days of the regular season. That's how it used to be. And then there was a good run where teams got really hot and then they never looked back. Now with Detroit, I feel like they are in a situation where they could definitely step up a little bit in the absence of Tarek Skubal, of course, with the rotation that they do have. Of course, Valdez is out for the next 6 games, following him throwing at Trevor Story from the Red Sox over his previous start. But they definitely have a little bit more to their side with their rotation, as opposed to maybe Cleveland. They could definitely get a game or 2 up in the division, but just the Central is so streaky and so hit or miss in whether or not their teams are able to fully contend as the season comes along. And it's also funny, you look at here some of the numbers too with Detroit. They're in first place with their run differential. They're at +10. The next closest team is the Twins, who are in last place in the division at +3. Hilarious to see how much of the difference there is from the run differential numbers in that regard too. But again, this is tricky. Will they be in first place? Yes, I'm going to say it's got my stamp of approval. I think Detroit definitely has enough pieces that they could definitely right the ship. But 2-3 months worth of baseball is a long ways to go, and certainly could be a very interesting stretch for them here, even with the absence of Tarek Skubal. But I feel like that they'll be able to, kind of keep things steady, even with him off the rotation for some time.
When you have a bad division, maybe this isn't the worst thing in the world. It's if you're Detroit, but it is what it is. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, heading to the world of the NFL, and the Indianapolis Colts and their quarterback situation only continues to get more and more interesting, with Anthony Richardson Sr. reporting to voluntary off-season workouts after spending the last couple of weeks at home, as the Colts don't seem to be looking like they're going to be trading him anytime soon, even with them declining his fifth-year option after the 2026 season. He will be a free agent. Anthony Richardson is an Indianapolis Colt as of right now. Now, of course, with their whole situation after drafting him very high, of course, those handful of years ago, with the limited number of starts out of college at the University of Florida, some interesting on the field uh, actions that have taken place too, and of course dealing with injury from last season too, of course him breaking an orbital bone. Now you also throw in the fact that Daniel Jones has rediscovered his playing ability, of course now coming off as injury as well, broken leg, and then of course popping other injuries that kind of hampered him in the back half of the season. 2-year $88 million extension for Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson hurt. Of course, they threw in out of retirement Phillip Rivers as well. But then they also have Riley Leonard in the quarterback room, who was quite serviceable at least the start of the year, now coming into the year as quite possibly battling it out for that backup position. But now you look at what the likes of Richardson does bring out, with him reporting 2 off-season workouts and Daniel Jones coming off of injury, but with that big money contract that he does have. And you also have Riley Leonard, who definitely lit up the scoreboard in the last couple of games of the regular season for the Colts. But if injuries do not hold back Anthony Richardson for the start of the season, is it absurd or approved? Anthony Richardson Sr. will start at least 2 games this season for the Indianapolis Colts.
Man, it's been just an absolute roller coaster for this kid in Indianapolis. Like, there are a lot of things to like about the guy. I really do. I've seen some really nice throws. His mobility is very, his elusiveness is very impressive as well. But, you know, he's had some injuries and stuff, poor play too. But again, this is a young quarterback that is still trying to learn the ins and outs. Now, not saying that he didn't have the right coaching or anything like that, but you know, maybe that is it, because you know O'Connell was very high on him, and the Vikings must have, you know, really liked what they saw, because there was always that talk of him possibly being a Viking if they didn't feel McCarthy would be that. Obviously, they got Kyler Murray, but them kind of sticking with Daniel Jones sends the message of, look, this is going to be our guy, which, in my opinion, I don't think that was the smartest idea, because Daniel Jones, did he play well? Sure. But, you know, he got injured, and, you know, teams start to figure him out. And they did in New York as well. So, but at the same time, they've decided to roll with Daniel Jones while still trying to look for trades. Now, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of interest right now for Anthony Richardson, because you look at the Vikings, and the Vikings are all set, right? You got Kyler Murray, you got J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz. You don't really have any. You shouldn't be adding another one to see who works out. But I don't look at any quarterback needy teams that would, you know, go after. Maybe the Rams. I think that would be an interesting one if he were traded to the Rams, because they're probably kind of looking at options. Not saying that Ty Simpson's not going to be their guy at some point, but, you know, maybe just in case. I think he's going to find an opportunity somewhere. But to answer your question, I think it's absurd. I don't think he's going to start 2 games this season. Look, I think the ship has sailed, and he's made it known to Indianapolis, like, hey, like, I just don't want to play for you guys. And obviously you don't have that same faith that you had in me when you drafted me, and it's kind of gone. now. So
Right.
I'm going to say absurd. I don't think he will in the future. That's a whole different conversation. But, I wish him the best. I really hope he gets another opportunity, to be honest with you. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, very well could be a situation where maybe a fresh start is needed. I think you kind of ride things out this season with Richardson. And all really comes down to Daniel Jones. Is he going to be fully healthy and ready to go? Of course, with breaking the leg in the last couple of games of the regular season for Daniel Jones. And of course, how the Colts were really in a position to get off. I mean, they were off to a great start last year and unfortunately didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, at the start of last season, it was looking like Anthony Richardson was going to be the starting quarterback. Then, like, first preseason game, first snaps for him, he ends up breaking his thumb or something like that. Got hit by a Baltimore Ravens defender, and then Daniel Jones has to come in again after playing like a series or so. He comes in and never looks back from that point. And then the injuries started to stack up with Richardson also, getting that orbital fracture for him during pregame warmups or something along those lines. And this has been a string of bad luck for Richardson. I think it's definitely going to be him sitting back, of course, with Jones being the starter. 2 starts, though, could be it's certainly conceivable, but if Daniel Jones is 100% ready to go, I think the Colts will definitely go that direction with him, ride it out for sure, and maybe they're in a situation where they clinch a playoff spot early and maybe rest guys week 18, I should say, and Richardson gets a start. Will he start 2 games? I'm going to say it's absurd. I don't think he'll get over that 2-start threshold.
The one thing, in order for them to have success, though, they have to have the exact same production they had from Jonathan Taylor, because he was their bell cow the whole season. He was fantastic, don't get me wrong. But when Jones went down, I mean, things just, you bring in the corpse of Old Man Rivers, which was entertaining for a little bit, but, it wasn't. It wasn't going to happen. And, their season was cooked by when he was quarterback. No offense to him. I just think it's going to be tough. The Colts aren't really big on him anyway right now, and it's going to be tough for him to hit the field at this point. All right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, heading into the world of the WNBA with the regular season to get started here, looks like this weekend coming up, a recent survey polled WNBA general managers saying that they would pick Dallas Wings guard Paige Beckers if they were starting a franchise today, as it was revealed as of yesterday. Now, last season, it was going to be Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark coming off her Rookie of the Year, her run as the Rookie of the Year. Now Beckers holds that top spot. Also joined in the mix was, of course, a former MVP, winning her 4th MVP this past season, Asia Wilson, who was the most lauded player overall in the survey, taking in 60% of the league votes as well to win the MVP for the 2026 season. Now, between Beckers and also Asia Wilson, certainly building of 2 franchises, of course, with Beckers in Dallas, and then you've got Asia Wilson in Vegas. Between those 2 players, who certainly have their own pedigrees in their careers, who would you have to start your WNBA franchise if you had to pick one of those 2 players?
I'm biased. I mean, it's got to be Paige Buckets at this point.
Of course.
Paige Buckets, and I know we're Minnesota sport. You're like, oh, well, Asia Wilson's won all this. Like, yeah, I know, and all due respect to her, she deserves all that. But I will say that Paige Buckets is just getting started, and you saw what she did in UConn. You saw what she's done here in the state of Minnesota. I mean, she's dominated. Buckets has dominated. The amount of talent that she has is almost, I mean, she can shoot, she can drive to the rack. She's quick. But starting your franchise and then building off of what you already have in a superstar like Paige Beckers, just kind of shows like, hey, you can win multiple titles. Not saying Asia Wilson hasn't done that, because obviously she is a champion. She's done this before. But if you want to launch a franchise and build it from a person that can facilitate and score at the same time, I mean, you're already cooking, to say the least. So I would say Paige buckets. And again, I know people be like, well, you're just being biased and whatnot. No, it's true. She's that good, guys. She's that good. So I would tab Paige buckets, Voldy. I don't see why I wouldn't at this point. Well, shouts out to Asia Wilson. She's definitely won that. She's definitely, the Aces have been amazing since their inception too. So, props to them. But I'm taking Paige buckets. Voldy, who do you get?
Paige Beckers is definitely the go-to answer in my mind. Now, if we're building a franchise from the ground up, yes, having the youth and the attention that a Paige Beckers brings would be great for your franchise. But if I'm a WNBA owner and I'm starting a franchise from square one, I want a winner right off the bat. Asia Wilson, WNBA champion multiple times over. MVP multiple times over. I would take Asia Wilson as my franchise launcher for sure because of the dominant play that she does bring, but also just the appeal that she would bring as well on the court for sure, with the ability that she has to be, of course, as a force in the locker room, a force on the court to at least get the team going from the very beginning. Nothing on Paige Beckers for sure. Absolutely great, a fantastic player coming off a Rookie of the Year campaign. Can't wait to see what Dallas has in store here with this season, even after getting the number one overall pick, of course, with Azzi Fudd too, to head to Dallas with her former UConn teammate in Paige. Now I can't wait to see how that all develops, but I know what I'm getting with Asia Wilson. Getting a champion, you're getting a winner, you're getting a force for sure as being one of the top defenders in the league and being also one that is a leader and also definitely is one that can definitely adjust on the fly for sure. If I had to pick between the two of them, I would definitely take Asia Wilson as my franchise leader.
There you go. I mean, it's respectable. It's respectable. I think it depends on the situation, too. I mean, it's like if you're like, okay, we're gonna build this from square one, you'd probably say Beckers. Or if we want to start winning like now, Asia Wilson would be the perfect. Yeah. So I get that. All right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, heading to the world of golf in recent days and weeks, the Live Golf Tour has lost a majority of its funding from the Public Investment Fund, and of course, that belonging to Saudi Arabia, who did launch the Live Golf Tour a handful of years ago. And some golfers jumping ship, some that are going to be looking for new employment in the coming weeks, maybe even in the coming months as well, with that also ending quite possibly sooner than later. One of which, of course, has found a second wind, not only in the Live Tour, but also on social media. That being two-time major champion Bryson DeChambeau said that he's preparing to grow his YouTube channel and play in tournaments that want him if the Live Tour should go belly up in that order. Now, DeChambeau, of course, has had some conversations with his former employer, that being the PGA Tour, but not specifically about what the potential pathway would lead to him coming back to the PGA if the Live Tour does fold. Now, conversations have taken place with others saying that those that did jump ship years ago with the Live Tour that are working their way back to the PGA Tour, maybe from playing in some lesser known events, younger guys playing on the Corn Ferry Tour, that being kind of like the minor leagues of the PGA Tour, maybe even possible suspensions on top of it that would get them back into the somewhat good graces of the PGA Tour. Now, for DeChambeau, it sounds like he's not getting in any sort of rush whatsoever to head back to the PGA Tour and quite possibly growing his social media awareness a little bit more. That has been quite prominent in recent I would say probably over the last year plus for sure. And the growth of YouTube golf has definitely seen a significant push in recent years, of course, with the Live Tour and also other content creators of the non-spicy kind. Now, with that being also thrown there with this adventure that could be for Bryson DeChambeau. Is it absurd or approved? Would DeChambeau be better off on the YouTube circuit as opposed to being on the PGA Tour?
When you had this on here, I kept thinking to myself, like, what would be better for this guy? Look, the guy can destroy the golf ball. The guy can drive
Absolutely.
it like he's insane. I mean, but the rest of the game needs a little work. But I mean, it's not saying that he's bad. Trust me, he'd kick my ass 10 times out of 10 in golf. But I think nowadays, in order to get as much recognition as you can get, and even money for that aspect, especially at being good at what you do. And no, I'm not talking about OnlyFans, but
Heyo.
but you look at DeChambeau, and you could do a lot of cool content on YouTube and be able to gain money, and maybe even give away a club that he used at one of the tours, or things like that, and giving maybe instruction to people on how to if you're putting or you're chipping. Trust me, I need all the help I can get on my chipping, that's for sure. But being on the PGA Tour, you have that. You go to those major championships, you play in those, and you're able to, if he can win some, I think he's very capable and whatnot. But I don't know. Like, if you start focusing on YouTube and the content and everything like that, and you're like, I don't need to compete or anything like that. I mean, don't you want to? I mean, this is the best of the best, and you're one of those guys. It's just,
Right.
If it depends on if you want to make more money, or if you want to do both, but focus obviously on more of the PGA stuff. There's a lot he has to decide in this. Money wise, I would say stamp of approval, just because Live Golf. Let's be honest, Live Golf was a joke to begin with. I mean, it just never worked. It was stupid, and then the whole controversy behind it. It was dumb. It was stupid. But the money wise, but if he wants to compete wise, I would say absurd. If he were to go to YouTube and just be like, oh, I still want to compete. It's like, it's tough to do both. I can tell you that much. I mean, it's not easy as well. So, yeah, I guess it depends on the situation. If he wants to make money and not have to compete as much, all power to you. If you want to be more competitive and try to do both, it's absurd. So that's my thought on it. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, just the rise in YouTube golf over the last couple of years has been astounding, to say the least. Good. Bob Does Golf, the Spit and Chicklets guys that have been quite prominent. The Foreplay guys from Barstool, too. Paige Sporonic as well, who we've tried a couple of different ways to get on the program. No luck there whatsoever, but we'll keep trying one way or another. But just the rise in YouTube golf and how that has been a bit of a surprise in many areas definitely has garnered a way for for content creators and also professional golfers too to work less but also get more at the same time, because ultimately the PGA Tour, yes, being one of the obviously one of the premier leagues in professional golf, is a dream for many players that want to be there and play in the big tournaments and compete at the highest level. But monetarily speaking, it's not that great of an investment, and a lot of guys are losing money, because the guarantees aren't always as prominent as you would think if you aren't actually winning said tournaments as well. And sometimes just barely even breaking even if you don't even finish inside the top 20, top 15, top 10, and what have you too. But with DeChambeau, he's carved out his own path, and I feel like he would be better off as being a guy that would, obviously with the social media, but if he can still find a way to obviously play in some of the tournaments that are, prominent enough for him to at least continue with the YouTube and also compete, whether it be on the PGA or some of the other events that are prominent enough. I feel like him going the YouTube route would be better off. And it seems to be going well for him. And he can definitely carve out his own path in this new world that is with YouTube golf, as opposed to the old fashioned, the old way of playing on the PGA Tour basically until you drop dead, basically. And if you don't play on the Senior Tour, aka Champions Tour, I think that's what it's called nowadays, but it was the Senior Tour. That's where all the old heads would get going. But I think him being on the YouTube side of things would be better off for him in his career.
There you go, stamp of approval. And not to mention too, I mean, if that's something that he's succeeding at, I mean, why stop, right? That's the main thing. All right, last one, Voldy.
Well, finally, here in the world, college football and the American Football Coaches Association is making a handful of recommendations to the football calendar that would end the season by the second Monday in January, while also pushing for increased access to the college football playoff. Now, with 4 proposed calendar changes by the board for the American Football Coaches Association announced on Tuesday, they would say in these proposed calendar changes that they would end the conference championship games, just get rid of them entirely, reduce open weeks in seasons from 2 weeks to 1 week, and then also preserving an exclusive window for the Army-Navy football game, as was also put in by an executive order by President Donald Trump, but also allowing postseason games to be played on the same day, and reducing the minimum number of days between games from no fewer than 6 games. Now, the proposal has come 2 weeks after the Football Oversight Committee recommended that the regular season begin earlier on the Thursday of what is known as Week 0, starting with the 2027 season. Now, the plan is in response to, of course, the 12-team college football playoff, and also making sure that things would end up being a little bit more concise when it comes to planning things out. With the most recent college football the playoff national championship game taking place on January 19th, while the 2027 and 2028 title games are actually scheduled for a week later on January 25th and January 24th. So the season going from about mid-August all the way to mid to late January, just for college football, which seems a little bit outlandish in many regards. Now, with these changes of getting rid of the conference championship games, reducing the open weeks and seasons, and also playing postseason games as the same day as Army-Navy football game, while also reducing the number of days, the minimum number of days between games, no fewer than 6. Is it absurd or approved? Would these changes be beneficial for college football?
There's your answer. Stamp of approval. Look, this is probably the smartest thing, and I'm going to throw it to our real audience as well. There you go, stamp of approval. But this is one of those ideas where they're actually thinking about the safety and or the whole landscape of college football. Look, the conference championships, yeah, they're great, but at the same time, does anybody really care anymore at this point? I mean, not really. I think putting this together makes it a easy way for them to make this a little bit more entertaining for not only fans of college football and whatnot, but the betterment of the college football in whole. But obviously with the whole college football playoff thing and all that BS with that, it's just like it comes down to why can't you think like this? NCAA, college football committee, all that. Just make it easier for everybody else instead of jam-packing stuff and being like, the more the better in this. And, if you start the season early, whatever. It's fine. I mean, people will be invested and, people will be waiting on NFL and they won't have to wait as long for college football. They'll have football right away. So I like these changes. It's got my stamp of approval. It makes sense. It's not convoluted. It's for the betterment of not only players, coaches, and universities, but fans too. So, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. I have no problem with any of these changes. And to be quite honest, this is probably one of the smarter ideas they've had in a long time. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely as cut and dry as it can absolutely be. The conference championship games have kind of really all played out a little bit now with of course, the college football playoff extending out to 12. Now, of course, the importance of winning your conference championship has gotten a lot less. We've seen over the last couple of years a team that has lost their conference championship game go on to win a national championship or make a very deep run into the college football playoff too. It doesn't hold the same merit as it did back in the day when, the Big Ten champion would go on to play either in the Rose Bowl or be in the Final Four when it came to the college football playoff back when it was just four teams. Definitely the open weeks in the season going from 2 weeks down to one would certainly be, just kind of cutting down those loose ends on the calendar. An exclusive window, obviously, Army Navy is certainly something that should definitely be set in stone and definitely not mess with as well. Maybe playing a couple, postseason games either early on or late in the evening as well, because usually Army Navy is kind of in that like 2-3 p.m. window time frame in December, usually done right around 6 or so. I think it's the second weekend in December or something like that. First or second weekend in December. And then just, obviously the opening, the minimum days between games, I think is good because, obviously, giving that proper rest and recovery time for those student athletes is definitely much needed because if everybody's healthy, the game is definitely greatly. This one just makes sense. I mean, ultimately having the rules put out there and the proposals put out by the coaches, because they're the ones that are most affected by all this type of stuff, minus the student athletes. I mean, I feel like the players would definitely be along that same time frame for sure. And just saying like, look, here's what we're dealing with. Here's what we see. All this is definitely doable. Now it's just going to have to come down to obviously the NCAA to get themselves aligned with the coaches just to see, and obviously the ADs, the universities, and all of that. There's still a lot of a lot of loose ends on this regard, but at least take the coaches serious enough to consider something like this that would be very effective because they're the ones that are dealing with it out of everyone. I mean, university presidents and athletic directors are, not as prevalent in these situations as the coaches quite are.
I agree. And, again, this is, it makes too much, it makes a lot of sense. The question is NCAA. That's the true question.
Exactly.
So, great job with Area this time around, Voldy, as always. Real quick, tip-off is about to start for the Wolves. Wolves win tonight, yes or no, Voldy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they got Io back, right?
Yes, they
He's
do.
in the lineup
Yes.
tonight.
Yep.
Yes. Then I say yes because if Ant is pushed back a little bit with his minutes, maybe a little bit less here tonight, Io, you find something there, maybe puts up 25, 30 points. I say yes, a win tonight.
Let's go. I got the Wolves as well. I feel like they're just gonna really kind of take off and exploit them. To be quite honest, But if they lose, it wouldn't surprise me because, hey, they got fight too. The Spurs, there's a reason why they're the second seed too. I mean, they played really well this season. So, but I got the Wolves too. So, all right. We got some Shield shoutouts to get to tonight. So I say we get a go ahead. What's up?
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shout out tonight?
Well, sadly, here for Shield shoutouts this week, we do have to say rest in peace to a media and entrepreneur icon. Ted Turner passed away here earlier today at the age of 87, as it was announced. A pioneer and a maverick of his own right that took WTBS in Atlanta, Georgia, and turned it into the superstation that spanned from multiple areas, not only just in the Southeast, but across the country, that made fans out of the Atlanta Braves and the fans out of the Atlanta Hawks from coast to coast. And of course, developing from that did Ted Turner into the 24-hour cable news network that we now affectionately know as CNN. But also, Ted Turner wasn't wrong enough to dive into the world of professional wrestling, taking the likes of which WCW World Championship Wrestling and diving right into the battle with the WWF at the time, which ultimately turned into the Monday Night Wars. Now, so many other things could be said about his work in the philanthropy work, of course, with Conservancy as well. But sadly, his time did come to an end here as Ted Turner did pass away here today, even after all the contributions that he made outside of the media landscape and also in the world of sports for sure. The way we watch sports and how it could be used as a tool for goodwill and also in many other ways. And sadly, rest in peace to Ted Turner as he passed away here today. That's good deal for shout outs this week. There
I was like,
I was forgetting something. I don't know. I'm tired. It's been a long week.
That's
already.
all. Yeah, honestly, it's been a long day. It was a long day at work today.
Barely keeping it together.
Yeah, hey, we're here. Wolves are tipping off. We're feeling good. But great job with Shield shoutouts as always, Voldy. Couple things. One thing I do want to throw something out there that we saw just was it this morning? It might have been this morning. Yeah, it was this morning. Our guy, Rick Herder, shouting us out, saying we're doing a great job. We love Rick Herder here on MinneZona Sports Live. Listen, he was he was our guy at SMSU.
He was.
Professor Herder was our guy. And if you ever get the chance, guys, go to my YouTube page and check out our mockumentary. And again, I'm not mocking Rick Herder or anything like that. I showed it to Rick Herder, and he loved it. I never seen him laugh the way he laughed when we showed him this. But if you ever want to see our Sports Zone documentary / mockumentary, whatever, however you want to put it, it don't matter. Check it out. But shouts out to Rick. We love hearing from you, and I'm sorry about the Twins, I will say. I know we've talked a lot about it with Rick. Those damn pole ads, I'm telling you. Damn pole ads! I hate them. So anyway, that shouts out to him. All right, guys, if you're like, how do I get those colored MinneZona hats? Like, I want to rep my favorite team and rep the fellas. Well, you have that opportunity. Yes, we have those Minnesota Vikings colors. We have those Minnesota Gophers colors. We have the Minnesota Wild colors. And yes, we even do have the Minnesota Twins colored hat as well. So let us know. We can hook you up. We still have the 5-year anniversary hats as well. Still a couple left if you guys are interested as well in those. Yeah. And some other stuff as well. If you're just like, I want to get ahead of the curve for next winter, well, we got those winter caps as well. We got those. We've got sweatpants still around. We got maybe a shirt there too. And we have the secondary Minnesota Vikings hats as well. So make sure you check those out with our merch and our stickers. Make sure you get our stickers as well. Shout out to National Fleet Graphic for those stickers, and shout out to our guy, Will Rattel, W2 Performance, www.w2performance.com. That's our guy, Will Rattel. And shout out to your softball team, Voldy Smiles for Jake. We are a proud sponsor of those guys, so shouts out. And the big win yesterday as well. Claps out to the squad, repping the MinneZona gear. We appreciate it. And shout out to our guy, TLS Performance, Troy Stoudemire Jr. That's our guy. He's killing it as always, and good to see our guy doing well. And shout out to our guys over at the Popcorn Bucket List with Nick Dahlhoff and Rhino Marburg as well. Omni Entertainment. I believe they came out with a new episode of something. They were trying to be smarter than a fifth grader, something like that. Apparently, a good friend of ours, Mitch Ribby, was on that, and let's be honest, Mitch probably didn't do well in that. Let's be blunt there. For being a Bears fan, to say the least, too. Just throwing haymakers at Mitch. Why not? But shout out to those guys. Checking them out. YouTube, socials, Omni Entertainment. You know the deal. So. That's going to do it for episode 283. Yes, 283. Voldy, we have something in the works, hopefully. But we will update you on that as the news cycle goes on. We're very confident and hopefully getting this done. You guys can use your imagination on what that might be. But just keep locked in on the socials. Just saying. Keep an eye out, and that's gonna do it. So without further ado, before I do that, go Wolves, go Wild.
Yes.
Before we go out, so the Wolves hopefully get done tonight, and then the Wild on Saturday.
Hopefully.
Get back in this. Let's go. So without further ado, as always, remember, folks, keep it up.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.